So we just completed Pragmata. We just finished the entire like story campaign of Pragmata, and I think what was like the first time like I streamed Pragmata. Let me check on my Twitch. I wonder if like Twitch on the phone has like a feature where you can check and search what type of like game that this person like streamed for, you know? Probably not on like Twitch. Let me see. I know it's been a while since like. Actually, you know what? What I can do? I can check like my YouTube channel and check on my past like live broadcasts. When was the last time I played Pragmata? Sorry, not the last time. When was the first time I played Pragmata? All the way at April 18th. April 18th, 2026. So I played like the demo of Pragmata all the way back in like December 19th. But I did play the full game. I started the full game all the way back at April 18th, 2026. So April, May, June, July, August, May, June, July, 3 months. 3 months. I mean, we could have like done it like we could have done or finished Pragmata in the span of like maybe like a month, but yeah, because I was super busy with like the spring semester, 4 days of work in a week. I felt super like, you know, tired and like crashing out like every single day. The weekends are like my only space for, you know, to decompress right, from a long like week. But this is like, once again, Capcom's Pragmata is Capcom's like newest IP in a long ass time, right? I think like the newest IP that they have like done would be back in like in the PS3 era. There was like a game called like PM03, where it was like this like hot ass like, you know, woman, right, was just like, you know, thrusting, was like, you know, shaking her hips and was, you know, doing like some spray shit, you know, like that type of shit. I think that was the last time Capcom has ever made anything like new without like having it being fall back to like an old IP like Street Fighter or Mega Man or things like that, you know? And I gotta say, right, Pragmata being like, you know, Capcom's like not first ever, but in a long time, like new IP in the age of like 2026. I gotta say, right, it started off as like, you know, a high graphic fidelity joke, like back then, because Cabin, get the fuck out of the way, dog. Yo, get the fuck out of the way, Cabin. Bitch ass robot. I gotta say, like, I think Pragmata is definitely like up there in like 2026 in like terms of like, I think game of the year for me, you know? I really like it. It may not be game of the year by others, but I think so. I could definitely see it as like a cool ass like action game in an action game category in the Game Awards. But overall, Pragmata is really like nice. You know, I dig it. I like it, right? The whole game was just plastered with like the figurative, well, not the figurative, what was it, the psychological, what would be psychological? No, let me rephrase that. This game is just littered with the father sim like tokens like throughout, you know? Like this whole game just feeds you like, oh, it's cool to be a dad, it's cool to have like a daughter or a son, you know, like man, they really go ham in there of just like the, what was it, the, man, I'm like losing my words over here. To be a dad, right, or to be like an uncle. This is also like an unk sim, you know, like taking care of like a niece or like a nephew. Like, damn, yeah, that's also there as well. But yeah, like I think like Pragmata is a really good title and a cool addition to the Capcom repertoire. Right? Starts off as like Hugh, an astronaut, right? Slash like I think like minor. It's been a long time since the first like stream, but he's like just this average Joe who also has like combat experience, right? Able to like, you know, whip out like a gun, like a what was it, a carbine rifle, you know, sort of shit. Yeah, he's like got some experience, but then all of a sudden, like they go on this like mining facility, this lunar mining facility, which digs up like very rare like moon rocks, and that moon rocks are like used to make luna filament, and that luna filament is used to, you know, make all this high-tech bullshit, very like advanced 3D printing, basically, right? But then all of a sudden, like catastrophe hits on the lunar base. All of Hugh's like teammates, and especially like his captain, are killed by what is now known as an AI, Edis, and he finds like a little girl named Diana who is a Pragmata. We didn't know what Pragmata was until like the very end. And over the course, you get to bond with the little girl Diana. You feed her real world stuff like TVs for a TV room, to beaches, or even like, you know, hiking utensils, right? It plays out like it plays out strangely, and this is what I've been hearing a lot, like Mega Man. All you do is like, you know, shoot, right, and hack, shoot and hack. But the main thing is like you hack, right, and you hack with Diana. She is a Pragmata, and she can hack all of like the robots that are in the lunar base. And when you hack on a robot, you get to hack them and you make them expose, and you could do big damage, because without the hacking, all your bullets, they just, like as Hugh says all the time, they bounce like right off, you know? So a lot of the stuff that you do in Pragmata are hacking and shooting, hacking and shooting, hacking and shooting. And it doesn't get stale over a while, because like as I said before, it's hacking and shooting, which is kind of like, you know, new-ish for like Capcom. I'm pretty sure there's like, you know, some other like games that do it, that incorporate that like style of gameplay as well. I'm pretty sure maybe like Cyberpunk does it, but because it's like post futuristic, like, you know, Blade Runner-esque. But this one does it in an interesting way, where like they sort of like mix up the hacking like game. And the way of how you hack is that you have to go through these like nodes like in a box, and the more blue nodes you pass, the more damage buildup you do, until you hit like the green like box and you make them expose. And you don't stop at just like one hack, you do multiple hacks. It's not like just a one and done like type of job. That would be repetitive. No, some enemies will probably close their shit back up, like close their tits back up, or you could like hack again and do even more damage. So they really like diversify the hacking game in Pragmata, which is very like interesting, you know? I like got like the feeling, like the hypeness of like, you know, hacking, which is not really like, you know, that type of like gameplay is not my cup of tea, but they somehow make it work in Pragmata, right? Funny enough. And there are different like challenges to like hacking as well, like once you get like into later on in the game. And speaking of like later on back in the game, back to like the story, right? You go through like Edis, you fight Edis, right? Which is like the AI that supposedly killed all like the humans and the scientists and the researchers in the lunar base. Turns out it was actually another Pragmata that you come across, and is like the final villain, 8, right? Which is who looks alike looks a lot like Diana, but is programmed in a way that she said like destroy all humans, right? She is like, you know, a robotic AI created by Dr. Higgins, right? The lead founding researcher of the lunar like base. And when he was like researching the lunar base, was finding all these things like lunar filament and all that stuff to do all this 3D printing. His main goal, his main purpose, and this was, I think, like, you know, in the game's time, like, you know, recently ish, he wanted to mine the lumen, or the processed minerals of looms, for his daughter back home, Daisy Higgins. And Daisy Higgins was the creation, was the conceptualization, was the concept behind Diana and 8, right? Or the whole series of Pragmatas. They were designed in a way to look like Daisy, because Dr. Higgins was researching lumens for the sake of trying to cure Daisy, and he found a way using like dead filament. But dead filament was dangerous, right? It not only killed Daisy, which was actually revealed to be like the corporation that Dr. Higgins was working for, Delphi. It also killed all of the other humans under like 8, right? Because 8 was the perfect like role model to cure Daisy, but because Daisy died, and actually like Diana was like the defect one, which we found out that, yeah, she has all of like the emotional aspects of Daisy, but 8 was the perfect one for the job to cure Daisy and get rid of all of her cancer funk, you know? So the whole like all the way through, like the final boss was 8, and the dead filament, of course. But towards like the end, 8 struck Hugh with dead filament and didn't like tell Diana about any of his like conditions, just only like, you know, toughed it out like a good like father or a good uncle, and provided for his niece slash daughter, you know? Until like the very end, where he had to like, you know, say the tearjerker goodbye to Diana, and Diana's like back on Earth, you know. Don't know what that post-credits scene is supposed to be. Maybe like Diana would like come back to like the moon, but who knows? Maybe like Capcom could do like a sequel to Pragmata. Maybe Pragmata Pregunta dos, Pregunta dui, you know. Overall, there are like some parts that I technically didn't get about like the story, right? Not like up to the Edis part, but rather like 8, because so Diana got the upgrade to cure slash eliminate the dead filament, right? As we have progressed through the final sector of the game, but she could have just like checked on like, you know, Hugh, right? But then again, like Diana is programmed, right? Super programmed to be like the cute, always wandering, always curious, you know, but also very caring and supportive side of the doctor's daughter, Daisy. So, but then again, she would just like, you know, check on her favorite like person, because she is a Pragmata. She's part like, you know, robot, right? So she could like scan what the hell's going on with Hugh, right? Instead of just like, you know, brushing it off like, you know? That part like I didn't get, because man, why do you have to be a closed off like parent or uncle, right? I get it, you want to like, you know, make your kid happy and not like isolate yourself, but like, you know, put a force field around yourself, to make sure that everything is okay, put on like a mask. But dude, you're dying. You saw what Dead Filament can do, and Diana got the way to like cure your ass. But maybe like once it's infected like on a person, there is no like turning back sort of shit, you know? Because we've seen like with humans getting infected by Dead Filament, like once Dead Filament makes contact with a person via like human skin or anywhere, it's over. Like you're just like done. So maybe like that part I got like, you know, I don't know, bro. But 8 being like a villain is once again like she was just following like the feelings and emotions of, and probably the orders of Dr. Higgins. Dr. Higgins probably the villain, but the real villain was Delphi. You know, they're the ones that created that mess in the first place, right? Killing off Daisy Higgins and then covering it up so that everybody can go back to, you know, optimize output work. You know, they're the real villains, corpos. But A was just like following, you know, a program. She is like a literal robot in AI. She doesn't understand why, right? She doesn't understand why. Rather, she just follows like the emotions of Dr. Higgins, because Dr. Higgins, after Daisy's death, found out that Delphi killed her, corporate murder, and wanted to exact revenge on people, humans, that took Daisy away from her, you know? Which is very extreme, right? But that's what Aid kind of saw and took it in herself and took it upon herself to follow Dr. Higgins's like mission to spread Dead Filament around the world. In a way, it's like, you know, to see the errors, but I think she knew what Dead Filament is, but then again, she was heavily influenced by Dr. Higgins. And that's like the plot of Pragmata, you know? But overall, the game is nice. I like it. And then we got like post-credit stuff, or sorry, New Game Plus stuff, or the secret like challenges where you do like, oh, so I get new weapons, I get new gear, I get new rewards. I'm like, oh shit, dog. Wow. All right, that's pretty cool. Again, I think I said this for like probably 3 times or 4. Yeah, Capcom made like this game Pragmata as like, oh, it's just like you complete the story, that's it. New Game Plus, whatever. But new content? I'm like, damn, they want to keep players playing other than just like, you know, replaying segments like in the story, you know? I dig it. Right? I dig it because, you know, it encourages players to, you know, come back and play more Pragmata via under the guise of like, you know, secret missions and whatnot. But I think like, yeah, Pragmata is like a really cool game. It's definitely not the type of game that I'm like, you know, myself I'm into, but yeah, I really like dig it. I think it's like, for me, like an 8 out of 10. You know, there are some things that could have been like, you know, more refined. Like damn, it really does play like Mega Man though. You have different weapons, you have different abilities, you have different ways of playing, different orders. It's Mega Man plus also Dark Souls, right? A little bit. Then it's also I think it's just like only those 2 games specifically, but mostly it's just like Mega Man. Hell, we saw like Cabin Boy had like a fucking Mega Man reference. He was playing Mega Man, you know, while chilling like at the shelter though. So it's really funny. Man, I can't wait for them to come back with Mega Man, especially, what was it, Dual Override? I really want to see that game, bro. I really want to see that game. But yeah, it's definitely a cool addition to the Capcom repertoire, Pragmata, you know? originally was like, it's like, it's whatever, but then I got my hands on it. I'm like, oh, this is kind of nice. The music is futuristic and nice. The setting, could, do some work, but they made it work because of the lore of the game with not dead filament, but proper lunar filament, and everything is like 3D printed like all hell. Hell, you could 3D print like seagulls, deer, even like wildlife. Everything is like everything is 3D printed except for the opening level or the opening sector, which is like, yeah, it's a space base, and then you get to like, jump around like in the moon, which is kind of like, that's kind of cool. I thought it would be just 100% a space base, but nah, you get floaty jumps, you get like extra long dashes. Yeah, and you could shoot, but it's also like you get to do Capcom-esque Capcom things like what was it, dodge time, you get auto hacking. Yeah, you get like different ways of playing than just the ones you get different ways of playing Pragmata than the things that they like show you. Once you like, work around like your brain a little bit, it's like, oh man. The weapons also give you nice like variety. Like I think like my favorite weapon, well, until recently, it was the jackhammer, just unga bunga weapon. Right, just go full in aggro melee if you don't like shooting a lot. That was really fun. But I think I liked the shotgun because obviously big gun go boom. The drones were really good and helpful for staggering like the enemy. And then like the support weapons, I think I like the auto hacking, right? Auto hack. Oh, sorry, not the auto hacking. The auto. The I don't keep saying auto. The hacking mines, where you get to place like a remote hack, and as soon as enemies walk at that like threshold of the mine, they become hacked as if like you did like the hacking manually, right? So that's really cool. But yeah, like I think it's a stellar like game. I think it's like an 8 out of 10 for me. It gets a lot of like bonuses for it's a game that's like pretty short. It's pretty fun. It's not that long like your average like this is like RE Engine, right? Like your AAA like budget type of game, This is definitely AAA because RE Engine and all that jazz. But it does have some nice flavors, right? Of just being able to play the game, how it feels, feels a little bit slippery with like, movement because it's got that Mega Man momentum physics. But overall, it is a nice game. I like it. Definitely, like, once again, it's there for the father/uncle vibes, right? And I know there's like a lot of like father simulator, uncle simulator games, but it's like what I'm thinking of is like God of War, where they like, it's the Sony like, show my narrative like cock out on the floor that like, yo, we are powerful with our father-son relationship. Nah, this is like from Japan, from the East Coast, from the East Coast, and like, damn, man. It makes you feel like, hey, having children is not that bad, right? It's actually pretty chill to be an uncle or a father. I'm not a father, right? I mean, I can't get a girl. Oh God, ousting myself. But I have been an uncle before, and I do have, been a caretaker to two of like my sisters/cousins over at like Bangladesh, so I definitely feel that in some way. So even if you're not a father, there is like that uncle sim aspect, like you just want to like protect this child, like care for this child, play with her, be with her, it definitely has that. And I didn't feel that like at first, right? Well, not at like first, but I felt it like all the way through because it was like right there at like your face, right? So of course you have to feel something, right? From collecting the realms of Earth to like all the way to like the end where you have to say goodbye to her, And that ending, like, it's an obvious like vibe, right? And it was pretty like predictable because once Hugh got like that dead fill inside of him, there was no turning back. But man, did it sting. I was still hoping for like, you know, a positive like light at the end of the tunnel. I was still want my rainbows ending where Hugh like you somehow recovered, but no. No, it's predictable as all hell. I fucking hate it. Made me cry. It almost made me cry like a little bitch though. Only this game and one other game made me like cry. I was about to cry. I could feel like, you know, tears were coming out of my eyes, bro. Shit. But yeah, like excuse me. But yeah, like Pragmata is a really cool 8 out of 10 type of like game. It's cool, it's charming with the space vibes and stuff like that. The music especially like helps, and the bonding between adult and child really also helps out too. But yeah, there are things that could have been like a lot more fleshed out, right? Or a little bit like I feel more polished. Possibly because I'm not used to like, you know, momentum physics in these like games where the characters like have a little like, you know, whoa after like you tell them to stop via the controller. It doesn't work out that way. But yeah, it's cool. It's an 8. There's definitely a lot more stuff to do now. I want to unlock all of this stuff, but that would be off stream because we completed like the game. I'm falling to that demographic where like once you complete a game, it's done. It's like RE9. Don't do any more. We completed the story. That's about it. But yeah. Thank you for Pragmata, homies. It was fire. It was fun. It's fun. A fun 8 out of 10 game. I could see it as like being up there as like best action game. I don't know about game of the year. It would be my game of the year. But I think that's overtaken with Dench Attack, and that's the next game I'm gonna play. Fucking trains and shit. Yeah, Pragmata was fun.